This is a Sports Radio Live podcast covering your world of sports. Bryan Houston's Sports Radio Live. It's weekdays at 3 on 99.3 Talk FM, the talk of East Texas.
Right now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com. With us on the phone from the Old Coach Rivals.com website, Matt Stepp. How you doing, Matt? Is he there? Hi, Matt, are you there?
I'm here now. How you guys doing?
There you go. Awesome. How are you doing, man?
Not too bad at all.
All right, realignment has come and gone, and you guys have posted a complete review of every region and every class, and I kind of wanted to get your take on a few things. Basically, first of all, how long did it take to put all this together, and tell me about the manpower that went behind this.
Well, we're still working on it right now. We've got 5A 3/4 of the way done, and 4A and 3A are coming. We'll just stick with the big classes and do 5A, 4A, 3A.
Okay.
To do a region probably takes about 2.5, 3 hours tops. Sometimes 3A will probably go a little quicker because you've got a lot smaller districts. Whereas in the 5A level, you've got 8, 9, sometimes even 10-team districts, depending on what part of the state you're working on.
All right, and tell me a little bit about the focus of the website. For those folks who've never seen the oldcoach.com, tell us a little bit about the website and what you guys do.
Well, we strictly cover high school football. We're part of the Rivals.com network. We're the Texas high school site arm of the network. So there's a little bit of recruiting in the off season that we'll cover. During the season, though, we strictly cover the teams, cover the big stories that are going on during the season, and then when the off season comes, we'll do. Obviously, this year with realignment being one of the big items of the off season, we'll do that. Coaching changes across the state. We keep track of that with the U-Haul report. We'll do spring football 7-on-7 as that gets closer, and then next thing you know, it'll be August, and we'll be doing scrimmages and getting ready for the season.
Now, how big a staff do you have to work all this?
We've got about 5 or 6 main writers. So we've got stringers across the state that send us in information, and we'll do stories from time to time. So we've got a staff of about 5 or 6 with myself, Michael Garland out in East Texas, who does a great job, Matt Diggs in the Metroplex, David McNabb also in the Metroplex. We've got Chad Washington down in Houston, and we've got a couple of stringers down in San Antonio, Brent Kennard. And we get a little help from across the state from various writers from around the newspapers and things like that.
Well, it's a great site, and all the rival sites are great sites. So tell us a little bit about what stands out for you as far as East Texas is concerned.
Well, starting in 5A, there wasn't any big surprises. We knew that Rockwall and Rockwall Heath would be coming up from the 4A ranks, and they made a natural fit geographically with Longview and Lee and the Mesquite schools in District 12, now in 12-5A, formerly 11-5A. The real question for us was whether or not DeSoto would be sent back east again, or if they would stay in a more local district with their neighborhood rivals, Cedar Hill and Duncanville. And we thought that DeSoto would stay local, but right before realignment, there was a lot of talk that the UIL may send DeSoto back east to make an 8-team district. But the UIL did DeSoto a favor in our minds and kept them in Region 1 with the more local district. So really not a lot of surprises in the 5A district. I think on paper, obviously Longview will be the heavy favorite to win the district, but I think they'll get a strong challenge from Mesquite Horn and also Mesquite High, who really had a breakout year last year, going 3 rounds deep with a fairly young ball club. Yeah,
I'm thinking that Longview and Robert E. Lee both popped champagne bottles when they found out DeSoto got taken out of the district. That's for sure.
Yeah, DeSoto's really a formidable foe in football as well as in basketball and on the track as well. They're a very good team, and I think replacing them with the two Rockwall schools is definitely a win for Longview and Lee. Even though Rockwall Heath, I think, will be a strong team. They had a good year last year in 4A, going 3 rounds deep as well. And they've had a lot of returners, including several Division I prospects. But I think overall, I think Coach King and now Coach Piskey at Lee would definitely trade DeSoto for the 2 Rockwall schools.
And then we had a shake-up in 4A where we had some split and some movement. We saw something kind of unusual with 16-4A with Corsicana being moved into the district that was traditionally a deep East Texas kind of a district. It looks like it's going to be a pretty formidable district as well.
Yeah, with the East Texas 4A, Kilgore dropping down and Lindale coming up, you basically traded one for the other. But there's an odd number of 4A schools in deep East Texas right now. You've got the three schools along Interstate 30 with Sulphur Springs, Mount Pleasant, and Texas High, and then you've really got 8 true East Texas schools in there. Well, you can't have 11 teams in one district. It's an odd number right now. So unless someone moves up or moves down, you're looking at somebody from quote unquote the outside getting piled in with the East Texas schools. Last realignment, Sherman and Denison kind of drew the short straw and got sent north while they kept the I-20 district together. Well, this time around, they drew the lines a little bit differently, and I actually thought prior to realignment they might send Terrell or the 240 schools east, on a more Highway 80, Interstate 20 district, but instead they went with the 16 district and moved Corsicana in with John Tyler, White House, Jacksonville, Lindale, and Nacogdoches. And it's not completely uncommon. I know Corsicana has been in the East Texas district in the past, especially in recent years when, back in the 90s when Athens was a 4A school, and they kind of had a Highway 31 district going there with Athens and Corsicana. So it's not completely unusual, but it was a little bit of a surprise, especially the fact that they did a 16 district, because, making your non-district schedule is tough, because I can tell you people weren't exactly lined up to play Cujo this year with what Coach Rush has coming back. I think John Tyler actually just now this past week got their non-district schedule filled. They're really searching for that 5th game. Yeah,
that's very difficult, and I think they're going to be probably a preseason number 1 or something real close to it this year.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if John Tyler was the number 1 team in the state in Class 4A in a lot of preseason polls with Lake Travis moving up to 5A. That kind of opens things up in 4A, and with Greg Ward and company, I think the Lions are definitely, if not the number 1 team, they'll definitely be in pretty much everyone's top 5, but I can definitely see them as a preseason number 1.
And then we always get a real charge out of 3A because we call District 16 the District of Doom, and the district looks completely different than it did last year and just as nasty, if not nastier, this time around.
Yeah, I wonder if UIL is playing a cruel joke on some of the coaches in that district, because you're right. I didn't think that district could get any tougher. Probably the guys in Pittsburgh are celebrating because, looking at Pittsburgh and Gladewater the last 2 years, especially Pittsburgh is probably good enough to win a lot of 3A districts, especially in 2010, and they couldn't even get into the playoffs because they were dealing with Carthage, Gilmer, and Henderson. Well, Pittsburgh escapes that wrath, but Gilmer and Henderson, they're already as tough as can be, and then you throw in Kilgore, who made the quarterfinals in 4A last year, dropping down. Chapel Hill, who's played for two consecutive state championships and won one. And then, people forget, Bullard had a great year last year under Coach Wilson. They got to the 3rd round of the playoffs, and they've, Coach Wilson's really turned them into a formidable foe and a very competitive one at that. So, you look at this district, and it's 6 deep, because Gladewater in a lot of districts is still a good enough team to make the playoffs, and they're plenty competitive. And this is a 6 deep district with Chapel Hill, Kilgore, Henderson, Gladewater, Gilmer, and Bullard. I think it's going to be easily the deepest and toughest district in the state in 3A, and it's amazing the depth of Class 3A football in East Texas.
And I would, if I was Scott Surratt, I'd be sending the UIL flowers, getting Carthage out of that district.
Oh yeah, Carthage. But you know what? I think if you put Carthage in that district, they're probably the favorite to win the district.
Yeah.
Carthage is loaded. I talked to a couple of guys who really follow East Texas football. That Carthage Argyle game in the playoffs last year was a great one, and they have pretty much all said if Carthage finds a way to win state this year, they might win 6 in a row, because they've got some kids in the pipeline coming that are just as good as they've had the past couple of years. They're definitely a threat in Region 3 to win the state championship. So I think everyone's happy that they're split up, because you could easily see in 2011 possibly an all East Texas state championship matchup again, with Carthage really being the favorite in Region 3 right now.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. So now you said a few minutes ago you guys do a little bit of recruiting news, and I know almost from the minute National Signing Day was over, people started looking at the class of 2013 and what that's going to look like. How much are you paying attention to that right now?
I'm keeping up with it a little bit. Obviously, realignment's kept me very busy, but I know A lot of the schools now are having junior days. Texas had their junior day this past weekend. TCU had theirs as well on Saturday. A lot of the top recruits in the state attended both of those. I know Texas Tech and Baylor. Texas Tech has one this weekend. Baylor had theirs a couple of weeks ago. So, pretty much everyone's having junior days now. You've already seen a few early commitments, but seems like on the looking at it as a whole, it seems like a lot of the recruits this year are taking their time a little bit more, whereas in recent years, Texas, after the first junior day, would have 6, 7, 8 kids maybe already verbally committed, where right now they just have one in Salina offensive lineman Jake Wallerson, who's considered one of the top 100 players in the country by Rivals.com.
And from your standpoint, how much of a difference is it going to make having the SEC be part of this now on a regular basis with A&M moving into the conference? How much of an impact is that going to have on recruiting?
I think it'll have a small impact. I think a lot of it depends on how good A&M does their first year in the SEC. I think, if they rattle off a really strong season this year and compete for their division championship, I think it's very easy to see that not only will A&M continue to see benefits, but I think other SEC schools may try to make their way into Texas. I mean, obviously, LSU and Arkansas have recruited Texas, and specifically East Texas, in the past. And that's no surprise there, bordering the state of Texas. But I think, you could see additional, you could see Georgia and Florida and Auburn. Alabama's obviously made a few forays into Texas, as has Auburn as well. I think you can continue to see that. And A&M's benefited a little bit already because they actually have 6 verbal commitments right now from the class of 2013. But I think that impact could be lessened if they struggle in the SEC. I think that could really hurt them in the long run if they fail to be competitive in the division.
And have you noticed what a difference Kevin Sumlin's made at A&M? How would you assess that at this point?
It's still early to tell. I mean, obviously A&M had when he took over late in the 2012 recruiting cycle, A&M had some decommitments, but he also picked up some kids as well. Most notably Ed Pope from Carthage. He got him to switch from TCU to A&M late in the process, which was a big pickup for the Aggies. So I think he did a good job. Obviously hanging on to Trey Williams was kind of the priority for them. The 5-star running back from Spring Duquesne. They won the Division II championship in 5A last year. That was the main priority. So it's kind of a hit-and-miss kind of thing because they also lost Fort Bend Hightower's Braylon Addison to Oregon late in the process. So it was a little bit of hit-and-miss for Coach Sumlin and the A&M staff. He was trying to put together a staff late, and I think that kind of hurt things as well, made it a little bit more difficult. But they're off to a strong start in the 2013 cycle, without a doubt.
And what kind of impact did it have for TCU, in your opinion, having made the move to the Big 12?
I think it had a decent impact in the 2012 cycle. When the announcement was made that they were going to the Big 12, they already had the majority of their class already in tow. So they really they were just trying to hang on to their guys late. And obviously, they had a little bit of a disappointment losing Pope to A&M and Deshae Johnson to Texas late in the process. But they also picked up a couple of kids out of Georgia who no one really thought they could pick up. So they actually made a foray out of state and got 2 kids from Georgia, right out of SEC country, which was big for Coach Patterson and their coaching staff. So I think you'll see more of an impact in this cycle, in the 2013 cycle. Already TCU had their first junior day Saturday, and they had quite a few top prospects at their junior day, and a lot of those guys went to Texas's junior day on Sunday. And for TCU, I think they got to consider it a win that a lot of those guys that went to their junior day also went to the Texas junior day and didn't actually verbally commit right away. So I think that has to be considered a win for TCU, that they're still in the mix on a lot of those guys. It's
a 12-month-a-year process now, isn't it?
Yeah, football. I tell my wife all the time that football is a year-round sport in Texas, and she didn't get it at first. My wife's from Canada, so it took her a little while to get used to it, but she kind of understands now that it's definitely a year-round process, and it never stops. And it's a wonderful thing in Texas. I love high school football and just the coaches and the fans, and it just makes it great. I mean, you go on the internet and there's hundreds of sites devoted to Texas high school football. It's just tests the awesome support.
And then your wife filed for divorce.
I hope not. It's our anniversary today. That'd be tough on me.
Oh, well, happy anniversary. How many years?
This is our 3rd year of marriage.
Third year. Yeah, she's still young and dumb right now, Matt. Eventually she's going to catch on and and decide this football thing isn't so great after all.
Telling you, I might be the dumb one for having married her the day before Valentine's Day because she still expects 2 separate presents from me.
Hey, I got one. Her birthday's the day after Christmas. I got no sympathy for you, buddy.
Serious.
Okay. Hey, Matt, tell people how they can read your stuff.
All you have to do is go to www.theoldcoach.com, and they'll get right there. We've got message boards you can interact on. We've got free content and premium content. So, obviously we'd love for people to subscribe to the premium content, but there's plenty of free stuff that anyone can read, and it doesn't cost a dime to post on there and share your opinion. We're quick to answer any questions anybody has. We've got a Twitter account as well, so we'll take questions there as well.
Outstanding. Well, Matt, we really do appreciate you coming on with us today. We look forward to reading all the post-mortems of all the UIL realignment for each district. Thanks very much for coming on with us today.
Thanks for having me. All
right, Matt Stepp from theoldcoach.com. It's a rival site. You can check it out. It's outstanding. Does a great job covering high school football on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live, 99.3 Talk FM. You ready to do a sports flash right now? Chuck says yes. Let's go.
Okay. Official. They made it official today. Texas Rangers signed catcher Mike Napoli a 1-year deal. Looks to be about near $9.4 million. Ranger GM John Daniels said yesterday, more than likely, the Rangers are finished with their off-season work as far as getting free agents. Phil Mickelson rallied from 6 shots behind to win for the 4th time at Pebble Beach. Mickelson closed with an 8-under 64, beating Tiger Woods by 11 shots in a one-sided showdown at the Pebble Beach National Pro-Am. A couple of notes on the AP Top 25 men's basketball poll as far as where people are. Alabama still firmly at number 1, followed by Syracuse, Missouri, Kansas, Duke, the top 5, rounding out the top 5. Baylor falls from 6 to 9. NHL action yesterday. LA Kings over Dallas 4-2. Stars are off tonight. Mavericks are playing the Clippers tonight at home. That's a sports flash at 99.3 Talk FM, brought to you by AP Rentals, online at aprentals.net and on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Greg Jones. I think the tall, bald guy is right. You should do your business locally with companies owned and operated by local people. The Floor Medic Restoration Services is locally owned and operated with several different types of services, including carpet, tile, and grout cleaning, major or minor water extractions. Stop by and see our new state-of-the-art rug cleaner. We are located at 322 West Tyler Street in Longview. Our phone numbers are 903-663.
This is a Sports Radio Live podcast covering your world of sports. Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live. It's weekdays at 3 on 99.3 Talk FM, the talk of East Texas.